We're always looking for an excuse to have our next guest on, and what better excuse than a new series from one of our favorite artists?
Absolutely. John Ferrie is here to show us his pretty pictures. How are you, John?
Pretty pictures.
I mean, you know it's spring when John Ferrie's on. I mean, there's hay fever, there's birds are thing, it's Vancouver, and John Ferrie's on Urban Rush in the spring.
Do we always have you on in the spring?
I think we do.
It's a spring. It's a spring thing. It's a spring thing. Yeah.
Do you have
Groundhog Day and John Ferrie?
Prolific seasons when it comes to your work?
Oh, absolutely.
Do you get the spring fever thing and blah, blah, blah,
yeah,
blah?
I start painting and I sort of go, okay, it's time to lift out of this, depression and hide I hide M&Ms all over my studio and get working. And
It's like the Easter Bunny. Tell us about this series and the inspiration for it.
It's 2010, and I mean, I don't think anybody in the world has been as impressed with Vancouver as we just were
patriotic.
Hosting the 2010 Olympic Games. It was just dynamic. And to be perfectly honest with you, I was terrified going into the Olympics. I didn't know what to expect. And I live across the street from the Olympic Village, so it was like DEFCON 4 with, I mean, the shutdown. And I took helicopters everywhere and road closures, and I took a package to the post office. I thought, well, it's a nice day, and I'll walk to the post office.
With a package.
4 times I was stopped, and I'm just like, I'm not going to leave the house. And it was kind of frightening. But all of a sudden, the Olympics started, the opening ceremonies that were just unbelievable, and the whole thing.
We're not going to talk about the closing ceremony.
And it fits in so well with the series that you've done, because I think so many people saw the city in a very different way from what they'd seen
we all
before.
did, and I mean, the thing about it is that, first of all, I'm surrounded by architects. My partner's an architect. I have many friends that are architects. They're always talking about these buildings and things, so suddenly it became a bit of a vocabulary with us. And I just kind of thought, well, I kind of want to start painting Vancouver, and I was all these things, and my work is also always so color orientated, and I just found that the city just looks so spectacular.
Well, let's start talking about the paintings that we have here in the studio.
Just up the road from us.
We've got the Marine Building here.
The Marine
Tell
Building
us about
on the
this
left.
one. And where does the koi fish? Why,
Well, the koi
why the
fish, I was at a Japanese garden one day, and I looked down at these koi fish, and I went, oh, those are colorful, aren't they cool? And of course, that goes into the memory bank as well.
Yeah.
What was interesting about it was in the paintings, just adding a bit of an interesting juxtaposition. They kind of look like kites and that kind of thing. Makes the paintings look a little less predictable.
Well, and they look like they're flying when they're in the water.
Well, and my buildings all look like they're melting, so because I can't draw a straight line, and so that was kind of fun. And I like that when Vancouver has a lot of contrast. So you'll see I've got a new building beside a very modern building. I've got a structure beside the mountains. I've got, there's an interesting thing. And so I just put koi fish in because,
And we've got a little bit of Gastown happening right next to you.
I was walking downtown to buy some graffiti pens one day, and I turned around the corner. I went, oh, well, that's cool. And what happens is you start thinking in a different realm of like, oh, I could paint that, and I could paint that. And I've got my iPhone
Can you do
with me.
one forward? Just as you're talking, just tip it forward, because we're not
getting... Tip it forward. Are we getting a bit of glare
a little
on
bit
it? There we go.
You see the real color.
Look, that was like a trick.
I liked that. It was light bright.
Yeah.
So it was just really fun, and I just thought it was interesting to sort of paint these things. And who knows how much longer these buildings are going to be around? These ancient pieces of Gastown.
Yeah.
Well, they've got to tear it down and build another chrome and glass thing. And,
he says with derision.
Exactly.
And I really do love them all, but this one caught my eye at first. Of course, it's the iconic Lionsgate Bridge. But tell us about this one.
Well, luckily enough, I work at the Tea House in Stanley Park, so I get to drive by this bridge every single day. And I just drove by at 30 miles an hour and clicked a picture and got home and went, yeah, sounds right. Oh, of course, yeah, it's better than texting while you're driving. And but it was just one of those things that I just thought this is really fun to do, and I have absolutely celebrated being a Vancouverite, being very proud of being a Canadian.
Now there's a Canadian flag in all three of the ones that we're seeing here. Is that just a coincidence?
There's a through line with Canadian flag, absolutely.
I didn't even notice until you pointed it out.
And the interesting thing about it also is that all the paintings are named after the songs and the poetry that was read at the opening ceremonies. So this one on my right here is probably my favorite piece in the whole collection, and it's called Hallelujah, and it was Katie Lang.
Oh, that melted everybody's hearts.
Well, in her bare feet in BC Place, I'm like, I've been in BC Place. It's filthy in there.
You don't want to have your bare feet in there.
No, but Katie Lang used to sing the school dances when I was at Emily Carr back when the earth was cooling. And she was, the kite-side glasses and the twangy band, and we were all like, who's that? And now Katie Lang is just show-stopping. So
that's Hallelujah. What is the Marine Building?
The Marine Building is actually called I Really Don't Know Clouds at All, which is from the Both Side Now song by Joni Mitchell.
Yeah.
And that guy by himself, flying around the opening ceremonies. I just was, it was breathtaking.
And the Lionsgate Bridge is called what?
Lionsgate Bridge is called The Bridge I Always Pass. So it's just because it is one of those things. The title is kind of one of those things you just kind of make up and go, that's all there is to it.
I always imagine titling would be, for me anyway, and I guess it's just my perspective, would be one of the tough parts.
Well, the titling is sort of part of like getting it into inventory so that you remember which one's which and which one's what. And then people have a reference saying, well, I like this. The response for this collection has been unbelievable. And I'm all over Facebook, and I wish I could Twitter, but I'm dyslexic and it just comes out wrong all the time. And
spell check, baby.
Spell check. Well, can you spell check on Twitter?
You have to have the right application, but
you started doing this with all of your shows, which is a great thing for commemoration for people.
Well, the book is a really great thing. So if you buy a painting, you get a book, which is really cool. And then I sell the book with a print as well, which is a really nice thing to do. So
and to have context of the series as well, right? I mean,
you get the whole collection. You get
as you follow an artist, you know, you get to see what they were doing then and the other thought process.
Well, and my mom's an interior designer, and she treats it like a catalog and takes it to her clients and goes, here, you're buying that and you're buying that.
What a good mom.
Oh, she's like, you know, Agent Orange. She's like my number one salesperson, and that's all there is to it.
Unbelievable. I think we have some JPEGs as well of some of the other work, if we can have a look at that.
Yeah, I lived at Commercial and Powell for 9 years, and this is at the base of Commercial and Powell, and these famous cranes, which to me are like dinosaurs. I think they're the most beautiful things.
They're fascinating.
And when they go up,
interesting view that you get from Gastown. You really don't see it from anywhere else in the city.
And anybody that lives or travels through East Vancouver will know these cranes and go, oh yeah. So some of the things about the collection are very recognizable, and other things are specific to places and things that people may not know. And somebody said to me, well, why didn't you paint the Olympic flame? And I'm like, well, it was just a little cliche to me. I didn't want to do, you know, gee, and here's BC Place. I wanted to do the things that spoke to me. So it was kind of interesting, you know.
Well, and then to get that perspective and have that twist on what you see every day. You know, it's quite fascinating.
And making it my own. And I mean, you know, not all buildings are orange, but they are in my world.
And they're not all melting, but they can be.
Well, there's an element of distortion to them as well.
I love it, though.
Oh, thank you. Thank you.
Thank you so much, John. You can go to johnferrie.com to find out more information. You can pick up the books, of course, and we wanted to let you know that John Ferrie's 2010 collection opens Friday, May the 21st at 6 o'clock at Main Space Gallery in Vancouver. You can go to John's website to find out all of the info.
Thank you so much.
Always
a pleasure.
It always goes by so fast.
I know.
I know. It's Fiona. She talks so
I know.
It's crazy. We're going to take a break. When we come back, Chindi will be joining us from Chutney Villa to talk, of course, not just about the great food that you can get there, but also some tours that you can go on with her to South India. We'll tell you about that right after this. Stick around.